Let me tell you something, being alone isn't a weakness, it's a strength. You see, when you're alone, there's no noise, no distractions, and no one to pull you away from your purpose. It's in those quiet moments when you can hear the truth about who you are and what you're capable of. Being alone often carries a negative stigma, as though solitude is something to be avoided or feared. Society tends to glorify constant connection, the idea of always being surrounded by people, always staying busy. But the truth is, solitude is where real strength is cultivated. When you're alone, you're free from the noise of the world. There are no distractions, no outside voices trying to steer you in one direction or another. It's in this quiet, this stillness, that you begin to understand just how powerful you are. You see, solitude isn't a sign of weakness, it's a demonstration of courage. It takes bravery to step away from the crowd, to silence the chatter of opinions, and to spend time with your own thoughts. Many people can't handle that. They'll do everything they can to fill the silence, scrolling endlessly on their phones, surrounding themselves with people who don't add value to their lives, or losing themselves in meaningless distractions. Why? Because facing yourself is hard. Looking in the mirror and asking, "Who am I?" without the validation of others can be uncomfortable. But the ones who choose to face it, the ones who embrace solitude, are the ones who find their true power. When you're alone, you start to realize that your worth doesn't come from the approval of others. It's not tied to how many people like you, follow you, or agree with you. Solitude strips away all of that and forces you to see yourself for who you truly are. And when you can see yourself clearly, when you know your value without anyone needing to confirm it, that's where strength begins. Being alone teaches you to rely on yourself. It's easy to lean on others, to look for support or reassurance when times get tough. But when you're alone, you don't have that option. You have to figure things out on your own, and in doing so, you discover just how capable you are. You learn to trust your instincts, to make decisions without second-guessing yourself. And that self-reliance becomes a foundation you can build on. It's not just about surviving solitude, it's about thriving in it. When you're alone, you have the freedom to explore your passions, to think deeply about what matters to you, and to grow without anyone holding you back. It's in those moments of solitude that some of the greatest ideas are born, some of the most profound personal transformations take place. You're not confined by the expectations of others or distracted by their opinions. You can focus entirely on becoming the person you're meant to be. Solitude is also where you build resilience. Life is full of challenges, and not all of them come with a support system. There will be times when you'll have to stand alone, when no one will be there to cheer you on or help you carry the weight. If you've learned how to be strong in solitude, you'll be ready for those moments. You won't crumble under the pressure, because you've already faced the hardest thing of all yourself. Some people might look at solitude as isolation, as though being alone means being cut off from the world. But that's not the case. Solitude isn't about shutting people out, it's about taking the time to connect with yourself. It's about creating a space where you can think, grow, and prepare for the world in a way that no one else can do for you. When you embrace being alone, you also start to recognize what truly matters in your life. You're no longer influenced by what everyone else thinks you should do or who you should be. You have the clarity to prioritize what aligns with your values and your goals. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve you and start focusing on what will help you move forward. And here's the beauty of it: once you've found strength in solitude, the world can't take it away from you. People can come and go, opinions can change, circumstances can shift, but your sense of self remains solid. You're not swayed by the noise because you've already built your foundation in the quiet. So when you're alone, don't see it as a void or a punishment. See it as an opportunity, a chance to discover your inner strength, to become the person you're meant to be. Because solitude isn't a weakness. It's the proving ground of strength, a gift that allows you to rise above the noise and truly connect with the power that's been inside you all along. Solitude offers a unique opportunity that is often overlooked: the chance for genuine self-reflection. In the midst of life's noise and distractions, it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what you truly want. Constant external input from other people, the media, and societal expectations can drown out your inner voice. But when you're alone, with no one else around to influence your thoughts, you're left with the raw truth about yourself. That's where clarity begins. Self-reflection isn't always comfortable, and that's why so many people avoid it. When you strip away the distractions and sit quietly with yourself, you're confronted with the reality of your life. The things you've been avoiding, the decisions you've been delaying, and the truths you've been unwilling to face all come to the surface. It can feel unsettling at first because it forces you to confront the gap between who you are and who you want to be. But this process, though challenging, is essential for growth. You have the chance to ask yourself the big questions. What do I really want out of life? Am I living in alignment with my values? What am I holding on to that I need to let go of? These are the kinds of questions that can only be answered when you have the time and space to think deeply. And the answers don't come from anyone else, they come from within you. They're not shaped by what others expect of you, but by what you truly desire for yourself. When you reflect on your life, you begin to recognize patterns. You start to see the habits, relationships, and decisions that have been helping you and the ones that have been holding you back. This awareness is powerful because it gives you the ability to make conscious changes. Without self-reflection, you might continue repeating the same mistakes or staying stuck in the same situations simply because you haven't taken the time to evaluate them. Solitude also gives you the freedom to dream without limitations. When you're surrounded by others, their opinions and judgments can shape the way you think about your goals. You might hold yourself back because you're worried about what they'll say or because their doubts become your doubts. But when you're alone, there's no one to tell you that your dreams are too big or too unrealistic. You can envision your future without constraints, allowing your imagination to guide you toward what's truly possible. In these moments of self-reflection, you also have the opportunity to reconnect with your purpose. Life has a way of pulling you in a million different directions, and it's easy to lose sight of why you're doing what you're doing. Solitude allows you to pause, to take a step back, and to ask yourself whether you're on the right path. It's a chance to realign with your purpose and to ensure that your actions are leading you toward the life you want to create. Self-reflection in solitude isn't just about identifying what's wrong or what needs to change, it's also about recognizing your strengths and successes. When you're constantly on the go, you might overlook the progress you've made or the qualities that make you unique. Taking the time to reflect allows you to appreciate how far you've come and to build confidence in your ability to continue moving forward. There's a certain honesty that comes with solitude. When you're alone, there's no one to impress, no roles to play, and no masks to wear. You can be completely authentic with yourself, which is where true understanding begins. This authenticity is the foundation for making decisions that align with your true self, rather than decisions that are based on what others expect of you. Self-reflection also helps you develop emotional intelligence. When you take the time to examine your feelings and reactions, you start to understand why you feel the way you do and how your emotions influence your actions. This understanding allows you to manage your emotions more effectively and to respond to situations with greater wisdom and control. Over time, the clarity you gain through self-reflection and solitude becomes one of your greatest strengths. You become more self-aware, more intentional, and more confident in your decisions. You stop living on autopilot and start living with purpose. And this clarity doesn't just benefit you, it impacts the way you interact with the world. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you show up in a way that inspires others. So while self-reflection and solitude may be challenging at first, it's a journey worth taking. It's where you find clarity, discover your truth, and create a foundation for a life that's truly your own. It's not about escaping the world, it's about preparing to engage with it in a more meaningful and authentic way. Personal growth often requires a level of focus and commitment that's hard to achieve when you're constantly surrounded by people or overwhelmed by external distractions. Solitude creates the perfect environment for that growth to occur. When you're alone, you're free from the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. It's just you and your thoughts, your dreams, and your goals. In that quiet space, you have the chance to truly work on yourself, and that's where transformation begins. You gain the clarity to identify areas of your life that need improvement. The noise of everyday life can make it hard to see things for what they truly are. You may not even realize that certain habits, relationships, or mindsets are holding you back. But when you're alone, the distractions fade away, and you're left with the truth. That truth might not always be easy to face, but it's necessary. Growth starts with awareness, and solitude gives you the space to become aware of what's working in your life and what isn't. Being alone also gives you the time and focus to set meaningful goals. When you're constantly around others, it's easy to get caught up in what they think you should do or what society says is important. Solitude allows you to tune all of that out and connect with your own desires. What do you want? What does success look like for you? When you take the time to answer those questions, your goals become more aligned with your true self, and that alignment makes them much more attainable. Solitude isn't just about identifying what needs to change, it's also about taking action. When you're alone, you have the opportunity to practice new habits, develop new skills, and work on personal projects without interruption. There's a kind of focus that only comes when you're by yourself. You can pour your energy into whatever you're trying to achieve without worrying about being judged or compared to others. This kind of uninterrupted practice is essential for growth. Another important aspect of personal growth in solitude is self-discipline. When you're alone, there's no one to hold you accountable but yourself. It's up to you to stick to your goals, to stay consistent, and to push through challenges. This might seem daunting at first, but it's actually a powerful opportunity. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you're strengthening your willpower and building a habit of perseverance. Over time, this self-discipline becomes a core part of who you are, and it sets the stage for even greater growth. Solitude also allows you to process your emotions in a healthy way. When you're constantly surrounded by people, it's easy to suppress how you're feeling or to distract yourself from your emotions. But when you're alone, there's no escaping them. You have to face them head on, and while that might be uncomfortable, it's also incredibly healing. Processing your emotions in solitude helps you understand them better, which in turn helps you manage them more effectively. Emotional growth is a critical part of personal growth, and solitude is one of the best ways to achieve it. In the quiet of solitude, you also have the chance to reconnect with your inner creativity. Creativity thrives in environments free from pressure and distractions, and solitude provides exactly that. When you're alone, your mind has the freedom to wander, to explore new ideas, and to think outside the box. This creative energy can lead to breakthroughs in all areas of your life, from solving problems to discovering new passions. Another benefit of solitude is the opportunity to reflect on your values and priorities. Life moves fast, and it's easy to lose sight of what really matters to you. When you're alone, you have the time to think deeply about what you stand for and what kind of person you want to be. This kind of reflection helps you make choices that are aligned with your values, and those choices are the foundation of a meaningful and fulfilling life. The growth that happens in solitude isn't just about becoming better at what you do, it's about becoming better at who you are. It's about developing a deeper sense of self-awareness, building inner strength, and creating a life that's authentic to you. This kind of growth doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without effort. But the time and energy you invest in yourself during moments of solitude are worth it. Solitude is where you become your own teacher, your own motivator, and your own guide. It's where you learn to trust yourself, to rely on your own wisdom, and to believe in your ability to grow. The world will always have its opinions, its distractions, and its demands. But when you've experienced the growth that comes from solitude, you'll have the strength and clarity to rise above all of that and continue on your path to becoming the best version of yourself. Solitude offers an unparalleled opportunity to develop emotional resilience, an essential quality for navigating life's challenges. When you're alone, you have the time and space to face your emotions without distraction, which is a powerful process for building inner strength. In a world that often encourages you to suppress or ignore your feelings, solitude becomes a sanctuary where you can fully experience, process, and understand them. It's in this quiet space that you develop the ability to handle life's highs and lows with grace and composure. Being alone removes the external pressures of maintaining appearances or meeting expectations. You don't have to put on a brave face or explain your feelings to anyone. This freedom allows you to sit with your emotions as they are, whether they're positive or negative. When you take the time to acknowledge and process your emotions, you begin to understand their roots. Why am I feeling this way? What triggered this reaction? What can I learn from this experience? These questions might not have immediate answers, but the act of asking them is where emotional resilience begins. Solitude teaches you that emotions are not something to fear or avoid. They're simply a part of the human experience, and when you face them head on, you realize that even the most intense feelings are temporary. This realization is a game changer because it helps you approach life's challenges with a calmer and more balanced mindset. You stop reacting impulsively to every setback or disappointment and instead develop the ability to respond thoughtfully. Another way solitude builds emotional resilience is by helping you develop self-soothing skills. In moments of distress, it's natural to seek comfort from others, but relying solely on external validation or support can leave you vulnerable. Solitude forces you to find comfort within yourself. Whether it's through meditation, journaling, deep breathing, or simply sitting quietly, you learn to calm your mind and regulate your emotions without needing anyone else to do it for you. This ability to self-soothe is a cornerstone of emotional strength. You also gain perspective. When you're caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to magnify your problems and feel overwhelmed. But when you step back and take time to reflect, you start to see the bigger picture. You realize that many of the things you've been stressing over are temporary or not as significant as they seemed in the moment. This shift in perspective helps you let go of unnecessary worries and focus on what truly matters. One of the most valuable lessons solitude teaches is the importance of self-compassion. When you're alone, you have the chance to reflect on the way you talk to yourself. Are you encouraging and supportive, or are you overly critical and harsh? Many people don't even realize how negative their inner dialogue is until they spend time alone with their thoughts. Solitude gives you the opportunity to change that narrative. You learn to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a close friend. Developing self-compassion doesn't mean ignoring your flaws or mistakes. It means acknowledging them without judgment and using them as opportunities for growth. When you stop being so hard on yourself, you create a safe mental space where you can explore your emotions without fear. This emotional safety is essential for resilience because it allows you to bounce back from setbacks with greater confidence and self-assurance. Solitude also gives you the strength to confront your fears. Everyone has fears, whether they're about failure, rejection, or the unknown. When you're constantly surrounded by distractions, it's easy to avoid facing those fears. But when you're alone, there's no escaping them. You're forced to acknowledge what's been holding you back, and that's the first step toward overcoming it. Each time you face a fear and push through it, you become stronger and more resilient. Another aspect of emotional resilience developed in solitude is the ability to sit with discomfort. Life is full of uncomfortable moments, and the ability to endure them without panicking or shutting down is a critical skill. When you spend time alone, you inevitably encounter moments of discomfort, whether it's loneliness, boredom, or unease. Instead of running from those feelings, solitude teaches you to embrace them and let them pass. Over time, this practice builds your tolerance for discomfort, making you more equipped to handle difficult situations in other areas of your life. Solitude fosters a deeper connection with your inner strength. When you're alone, you realize that you have everything you need within you to face life's challenges. You don't need constant reassurance or external validation to feel secure. This realization is empowering because it shifts your focus from seeking strength outside of yourself to cultivating it within. You begin to trust your ability to navigate whatever comes your way, and that trust becomes the foundation for true emotional resilience. Through solitude, you discover that your emotions, no matter how intense, are manageable. You learn that you are capable of facing life's difficulties head-on and coming out stronger on the other side. It's not about avoiding challenges or pretending they don't exist. It's about building the inner resources to handle them with courage and grace. This emotional resilience not only benefits you, but also strengthens your relationships and enhances your ability to contribute positively to the world around you. Solitude creates a unique space where creativity thrives. Away from the distractions and interruptions of the world, your mind is free to wander, explore, and innovate. It is in these moments of quiet that you can access the deepest layers of your imagination, discovering ideas and solutions that might otherwise remain hidden. Creativity flourishes when it is given the room to breathe, and solitude provides that room in abundance. In the hustle of daily life, your mind is often occupied with tasks, conversations, and external noise. While collaboration and interaction can spark inspiration, they can also inhibit the kind of deep, reflective thought that leads to groundbreaking ideas. Solitude allows you to disengage from the constant input of the world and turn inward, tapping into your inner reservoir of creativity. It's a space where there are no deadlines, no judgments, and no expectations, just the freedom to think and create. One of the reasons solitude is so powerful for creativity is that it removes the pressure to conform. When you're alone, you're not trying to fit into anyone else's expectations or standards. You don't have to explain your ideas or defend them, you can simply let them flow. This lack of external influence gives your mind the freedom to explore unconventional thoughts and take risks. Often, the most innovative ideas come from these unguarded moments when you're not afraid of being judged or misunderstood. Solitude also encourages a state of deep focus that is essential for creative work. Whether you're an artist, a writer, a scientist, or someone solving a complex problem, the ability to immerse yourself fully in your task is invaluable. In solitude, you can enter a flow state where time seems to disappear and your mind becomes completely absorbed in the creative process. This intense focus allows you to connect disparate ideas, find patterns, and develop solutions that might not have been apparent in a more distracted state. Another significant aspect of solitude is that it enhances self-reflection, which is a cornerstone of creativity. When you're alone, you have the opportunity to revisit your experiences, memories, and emotions. These reflections often serve as the raw material for creative expression. A moment of quiet can bring clarity to a problem you've been wrestling with for weeks or inspire a new approach to a project you thought was stuck. By giving yourself time to think deeply, you allow creativity to emerge naturally. Solitude also encourages experimentation, a critical component of creativity. When you're alone, you can try out new ideas without fear of failure or criticism. You can brainstorm freely, test hypotheses, or experiment with techniques, knowing that there's no one watching to judge the process. This freedom to fail is essential, because creativity often involves trial and error. Solitude provides a safe environment where you can take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them, ultimately leading to greater innovation. Another way solitude nurtures creativity is by fostering curiosity. In the quiet of being alone, you have the chance to follow your interests wherever they might lead. You can dive into a subject that fascinates you, explore a new skill, or read about a topic you've never considered before. This kind of open-ended exploration often sparks new ideas and connections, feeding your creative energy. Without the distractions of social obligations or external demands, you can fully immerse yourself in the joy of discovery. Solitude also provides an opportunity to reconnect with nature, which is a profound source of inspiration for many creative minds. Taking a solitary walk in a park, sitting by a quiet stream, or simply observing the sky can awaken your senses and stimulate your imagination. Nature has a way of grounding you and reminding you of the beauty and complexity of the world, which often translates into creative inspiration. Many great thinkers and artists have found their best ideas while alone in nature, and the same can be true for you. In solitude, you also have the time to work through creative blocks. When you're stuck, the instinct is often to distract yourself or seek advice from others. While these approaches can help, sometimes the best way to overcome a block is to sit with it in silence. Solitude allows you to patiently unravel the knots in your thinking and approach the problem from new angles. It gives you the space to experiment with different perspectives and ultimately find a way forward. Finally, solitude strengthens your relationship with your inner voice, the source of your most authentic creativity. In a world filled with opinions and influences, it's easy to lose sight of what you truly think and feel. Solitude strips away the external noise and brings you back to yourself. It's in these quiet moments that you can hear your own thoughts clearly and express them in a way that is uniquely yours. This authenticity is the hallmark of powerful and meaningful creative work. The creativity that emerges from solitude is not just about generating new ideas, it's about finding solutions, expressing your truth, and connecting with the world in a deeper way. It's a process that requires patience, introspection, and trust in your own abilities. Solitude provides the ideal conditions for this process, allowing you to explore the full potential of your imagination and create something truly extraordinary. Solitude is a transformative state that fosters independence by teaching you to rely on your own resources and inner strength. In the quiet moments of being alone, you confront the reality that you are your own constant companion in life. This realization is not isolating, it is empowering. It allows you to see that, while relationships, friendships, and external support are valuable, your sense of worth and ability to thrive ultimately depend on your connection with yourself. When you spend time alone, you start to notice how much of your energy is often directed toward pleasing others or seeking validation. Without external influences, you gain the clarity to recognize what you truly value and need. Solitude creates a safe space where you can evaluate your choices, habits, and goals without interference or pressure. This self-awareness is the foundation of independence because it enables you to make decisions that align with your own priorities rather than being swayed by societal expectations or the opinions of others. Being alone also teaches you practical independence by encouraging self-sufficiency. When you're on your own, you naturally take on responsibilities that you might otherwise delegate or avoid. You learn to solve problems, make decisions, and take care of your physical and emotional needs without relying on others. This doesn't mean you won't ever need help, it simply means you become capable of managing your life effectively on your own terms. Each small act of self-reliance, whether it's cooking a meal, fixing something broken, or navigating a challenge, builds your confidence and reinforces your ability to stand on your own 2 feet. You also develop a deeper understanding of your strengths and limitations. This understanding comes not from external feedback, but from observing yourself in various situations. You begin to see where you excel and where you might need to grow. This honest self-assessment allows you to cultivate your strengths and work on your weaknesses without fear of judgment. It also gives you the courage to take on new challenges, knowing that even if you fail, you have the resilience to try again. Independence born from solitude extends beyond practical skills. It also encompasses emotional self-reliance. Life is filled with ups and downs, and while having a support system is invaluable, it's equally important to know how to process and navigate your emotions on your own. Solitude gives you the space to reflect on your feelings, understand their root causes, and find ways to cope that work for you. This emotional self-reliance ensures that you're not overly dependent on others to regulate your mood or validate your experiences. It frees you from the need for constant reassurance and allows you to approach relationships from a place of strength rather than neediness. Another critical aspect of independence that solitude fosters is the ability to set boundaries. When you spend time alone, you realize how important it is to protect your energy and prioritize your well-being. This understanding makes it easier to identify and enforce boundaries in your interactions with others. You become less willing to tolerate situations or relationships that drain you or go against your values. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out, it's about creating space for what truly matters. Solitude helps you see that your time and energy are precious, and it empowers you to use them wisely. Spending time alone also teaches you how to enjoy your own company, which is a hallmark of independence. Many people fear solitude because they associate it with loneliness, but these are not the same. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected, while solitude is the joy of being with yourself. When you embrace solitude, you discover that your own company can be fulfilling, enriching, and even joyful. You start to engage in activities that bring you happiness purely because you enjoy them, not because someone else expects or encourages you to do them. This self-contentment reduces your reliance on external factors for happiness and makes you more resilient to life's challenges. You also find the freedom to pursue your passions and interests without compromise. When you're alone, you don't have to cater to anyone else's preferences or schedules. You can dedicate time to what truly excites and fulfills you, whether it's reading, learning a new skill, exploring nature, or creating art. This freedom not only deepens your sense of independence, but also strengthens your identity. You begin to see yourself as a person with unique talents, desires, and contributions to offer the world. Perhaps most importantly, solitude teaches you that independence doesn't mean isolation. It's not about rejecting relationships or avoiding help. It's about recognizing that your worth and capability exist independently of external validation. Independence means being secure in who you are and knowing that you can handle life's challenges, even if you have to face them alone. This sense of self-assurance enriches your relationships because it allows you to connect with others from a place of mutual respect and equality rather than dependence or insecurity. Through solitude, you come to understand that being alone is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It's a chance to strengthen your sense of self, build resilience, and discover your own path. The independence you cultivate in these quiet moments becomes a cornerstone of your character, giving you the confidence to navigate life with grace, courage, and purpose. You realize that you are enough just as you are, and that realization is profoundly liberating.